Hi, I'm Whack.
Hi, and I'm Pat. Thanks for joining us another week for the weekly orbit. And this is the week of February the 16th. It's been a really great week. We got tons to talk about, Whack. But are you excited about ETH Denver? It's coming up in a couple weeks.
No, it's really strange. I'm kind of excited about it, but it also almost feels like it's not happening. I don't know why I'm not like in that headspace yet. So it feels like something that's happening really far away, but it's like 2 weeks away. So
I
I think I
know.
need to get into that zone yet, and I'm not quite there yet. So it's gonna hit me like a truck. I think like next week. I still need to like get all my ticket stuff sorted out. It's done. I need to like put it on that app and stuff, but there's a bunch of things that I still need to do that I've not done yet. So that needs to fix up soon.
I
So
know.
yeah.
Ken had messaged me about the liftoff
Hmm.
um, that's going on during the convention, and I have to respond to him. I've been so busy. But I realized, like, holy cow, this is like in 2 weeks. I better start thinking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have that. We'll be talking about the liftoff towards the end of the program. But let's
Yeah.
get into markets first. Exciting. I mean, Ethereum has been on a tear the last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
This is from CoinGecko, and that's a 24-hour chart. Let's go to the 7 day. 7 day, we're currently at 2,851.
Hmm.
It's up 3% over the last 24 hours. But you can see here, last 7 days, 16% increase in price. Last 2 weeks, 24%. Um, Man, it's ripping. And
Yeah.
let's take a look at RPL. RPL has had a big spike overnight. Let's go to the 5 day.
That's the 1 minute chart. That's
Yeah.
the 5 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're up and to the right, as you can see. Let's take a closer look. Here's the CoinGecko. I like to, we always like to compare it to ETH
Hmm.
price. Okay, so if we're at $33.38 in US dollars, that's up about 7% over the last 24 hours, which is pretty good. It's more than ETH. But last week we're at a ratio of 0.01189. We are currently at a ratio of 0.01168. Okay, that's about less than 2% decline against
Hmm.
ETH in ETH terms. And I just want to put this out for RPL haters. Like, oh my God, the world is falling, or that's the end of the world. But let's compare our to Lido, which is our competitor. If we look at their ratio, it was at 0.00118 last week. It's currently at 0.00116. Guess what? It's down about 2% against ETH as well. So compared to our peers, we're kind of doing just what they're doing as well. It's just my opinion on markets, Whack. At the beginning, it's always the big players that in traditional finance as well. The big players push the market in the beginning. As the bull market matures, money starts flowing down to the lower caps, and the lower caps kind of bring in the behind of the bull market, and then the market will go into a bear. The small caps fall more. People gravitate towards the big, and the cycle goes back and forth. And I think, Wack, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're kind of in that early stage of the bull market where ETH and BTC are leading the way.
Yeah. Pretty much. So there's a whole lot to like unpack about the markets right now. The first of all, like you said, BTC and ETH are going gangbusters. Like they're doing really well. They're performing really well. With Rocket Pool, we've had a couple of really good days, but that we have to put in context has come off the back of quite a bad time. Like you said, the big guys are going at it, and the little guys are kind of getting left behind. And Rocket Pool's RPL has been one of those tokens. So much so that on the ETH ratio, we just hit a new post Atlas low of 0.0106. So that is, a little bit below we were a few months ago when we
Mm.
hit 0.011. 111. So that was, the previous low. We hit a new low after that. So that feels really bad. So I
Yeah.
feel like, a lot of the excitement in the market that we've had has kind of been tempered by that. Like, the wider market is doing really well. The RPL token price against the US dollar is fine. Like it's pretty decent, 50%, less than 50% away now from all time highs, which is really, really great to see at this stage in the market. It's setting us up for a really nice bull run in dollar terms. The ETH the ETH price, that's the one that most of us care about, because we need to maintain that ratio for our validators, and that it's just that was the only pair for so long that that's like the value anchor that people really have for RPL in their minds. And if we look at that, in the 1 year, RPL is down 26% since Atlas last year. At this point, on the CoinGecko, you can see it here. Like
Yep.
in the 1 year chart, we're down 26%. But if you look at the ETH page, in the 1 year, that's up 77%. So
Yep.
that's 77%. So that difference shows you that the RPL price against ETH on the 1 year is down bad, like down really
Oh
really
yeah,
bad.
no
And
doubt.
like that, that sadly is still leading to a lot of negativity in the community. And people are seeing that ETH is doing well now. They're down really bad on their ratio by 50% basically in ETH value, from where they were a year ago, if not more. If you bought right at the peak of Atlas, then you're down like 60+%, 60-ish% against ETH, which is a horrible feeling. But I think what's happening is, as people are seeing green on the markets and not seeing RPL, well, this was like 3 days ago, right? They were seeing that RPL was kind of getting left behind a little bit. There was a lot of negative sentiment in the rocket pool space, like on ETH finance, people were just like, rocket pool's dead. And it was just like, guys, what are you talking about? And like, even in Discord, a whole lot of people were just kind of like capitulating. They were like, this is pointless, I'm just going to swap back to ETH. There was a whole lot of negativity.
Yeah,
So I
sell at
think
the bottom. I think you should
that's
sell at the
that's
bottom.
literally what's been
I mean,
happening.
come
Like,
on,
in all
guys.
honesty, like that's
Yeah.
like, it's kind of a meme, right? Like, you buy high, sell low, but people were literally doing that. Like, a whole lot of people were capitulating,
Yeah.
and like, or the sentiment was definitely like in that doldrums. So there's a lot more nuance to this than just like, hey, green candles. And green candles are really nice, but
Mhm.
I think people are like, there's still some ways to go when you kind of like look at the bigger picture. And I think that everything's going to be fine. Like, you were saying earlier that within the beginning, very beginning, I think, of the mania phase now, which might last another year or so potentially, depending on how things go. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But RPL's positioned well, right? And the main thing that RPL has going for it that other services don't is, we've got these amazing upgrades coming this year, and I feel like it's just like perfect timing that they're just going to stack on top of each other, for the next year. And hopefully that is going to be what really propels Rocket Pool as a protocol and RPL as a token up to some really cool heights.
Yeah. And if my thesis is correct about the second half of the bull run, where small caps take the lead, well, guess what? The second half of the bull run, we're kind of expecting all these upgrades coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a kind of maybe a market refocus on staking, because the EIPs that'll be coming with Petra are going to be squarely focused on staking. So you get that whole narrative. You've got Saturn, 1, Saturn 2, mega pools, uh, new tokenomics. Like there's a lot coming, and kind of
Yeah,
like you said, right? Perhaps Square, we're going to hit it right at the right time as well. So
yeah.
keep your chin up, folks. These daily market things, up and down, up and down. Take a zoom out a little bit. Take a breath. We'll be fine.
We're going to be okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this was yesterday overnight. We had it was the end of the period, end of the 28 days, and RPIP-30 is in effect. So this would be the second tree of 6. And
Mm-hmm.
just to I pulled this up just to review what is the RPIP-30, and how does it get phased in. So the tree changes have been implemented. Rewards will ramp smoothly from old system to a new one. So last month in January was tree number 1. So that means out of the 5/6 of the old system and 1/6 of the new system. Each subsequent tree will move 1/6 more to the new system. And by tree 6, we'll have an entirely new system.
Mm-hmm.
Withdrawal threshold will decrease after tree 3 to 100% of bonded ETH, and again after tree 6 down to 60% of bonded ETH. And then finally, we need a smart contract changed for withdrawal will become a 2-step process, and threshold will become 15% of borrowed ETH. So
Yeah.
I guess the TLDR on that is, if you're we're starting to focus, we're kind of squishing down the rewards, RPL rewards, down to those who are between 10 and 15% collateral. And I noticed it last night. I was like, oh, I got a little more RPL than I normally do. So it's starting, and it's nice to see the system is in place. You have any thoughts, real quick?
Yeah, so the community voted for this, and it's coming along really nicely. And a lot of node operators are now seeing, especially those at the lower collateral levels, that they're getting a little bit of a boost in their rewards from what they were getting before. One thing to remember as well is that even if you are at a higher collateral level, there's still a chance that you'll be getting more in rewards. It's only when you start getting to the very high collateral levels where you'll start feeling the pinch. And if you are on 16 ETH validators instead of LEB8s, then you're going to
Right.
start feeling that a lot sooner than if you're on LEB8s. So the main thing is, if you haven't gone to LEB8s yet, that's the first thing you should do is get onto LEB8s. And then after that, like this is this is the new way that things are happening, and it's actually really exciting because we're hoping that yesterday, for example, I saw a whole lot more node operators getting up above 10% than there was
Yeah.
a few months ago. Like there was a lot of buying coming in for people trying to get above 10% because they knew that the rewards that they're going to get this time for being above 10% are actually higher than it would have been a few months ago as a percentage of their collateral. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
actually really good to see as well. So I think this will actually be finalized with Saturn 1, most likely, is RPIP-30 will be like completed. With the last point, it says, with a smart contract change, withdrawal will become a two-step process and threshold will become 15% of borrowed ETH. So that's what we're heading towards. But that will be completed probably with Saturn 1, which I think will be in about 6 months, potentially after Houston. So
Yep.
that's what we're going with, I think.
Yeah, it's going without a hitch.
Mhm.
So talk about the smoothing pool. It paid out last night as well. We had a pool of about 367 ETH, which was a little bit above average, better than last month. Last month we were at 294, so a nice little bump there. No all-time highs, but I think as we see on-chain activity start to increase, we're going to start to see a little bit more or a steady amount into the smoothing pool.
And the other thing about the smoothing pool that you should note now is like a whole bunch of validators are coming online for Puffer, not Puffer, sorry, for EtherFi, for Swell, for these liquid restaking token services. And that means that, the chance of you getting a block becomes even more difficult now. So a regular node operator, you're going to get a block like every 4 months now, I think, or even more than 4 months. So
Right.
that makes the smoothing pool even more attractive because you'll be getting those rewards every month, and they're trickling in every day. Whereas if you're just if you just on out on your own, then you might go many months without getting any proposals. So
With
yeah,
zero.
that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, you'll get nothing.
Okay, on to some other things. Just we were talking about sediment, about rocket pool, and other people are noticing. Anthony Sassano posted out on Farcaster the other day this nice tweet: "Rocket pool revenge are coming soon," and he cites the Jasper proposal about Eigenlayer. He also talks about cites the article about Houston upgrade, which is coming very soon, and then the bond direct capture. That was one of Valdorf's proposals for tokenomics reform. So people are noticing, and what's come about this week is I was saying last week Samus, but apparently I was corrected. It's Samus. It's a
Samus,
Japanese
game
character,
character.
game character.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I'm a boomer. I don't I don't follow that stuff. But okay, so I'm corrected. So Samus put together a cohesive proposal, taking four. Remember last week we talked about, I think there was about 20 or so different proposals, and Samus has taken four of those, packaged them together into a cohesive proposal. So they put number one was bond reduction. That's Valdorf's idea. That's where we go from 8 ETH mini pools to perhaps 4 and 4, and then you get 1.5 ETH after that, or maybe 6, and then 1.5, 1.5.
Hmm.
Number two is commission cut diverted to RPL stakers. So that's where you can decide, hey, I want to run ETH only. I don't want to put up RPL. Well, that's cool. You can do that. You'll get more commission than you would if you did Lido CSM. And then the rest of that, we take the 14%, divide it up. So part of your commission will go to those who did stake with RPL, and they'll be paid in ETH.
Hmm.
So that's great. And then number three, universal variable commission. Okay, that's where we're stuck at that static 14 percent, right? So this would move it up and down
Yeah,
based
depending on
on,
the deposit pool dynamics.
yep.
So when
And
the
number
deposit pool is
four,
full, yeah.
pr- protect our ETH from underperforming node operators. So this was kind of cool. We're starting to see this. We started at this really, we had, hey, let's brainstorm ideas. We had 20, and I'm now this. I mean, all some really great ideas have come through the process, and now we're starting to squeeze that down into maybe something more cohesive that the community will come to consensus on, and then eventually we'll have probably an RPIP to vote on this stuff. So it's nice to see, like, week after week, we're starting to see progress on these fronts. Do you have any thoughts on the cohesive proposal here?
Yeah, so this is the second one we've seen so far, and I kind of want to defend you for a second before we carry on. So if you scroll up, this person's, Samus, his name is Orange Samus, and orange is very much associated with Irish, like certain parts of Irish culture as well. So it's plausible that it's realistic that you would think it's Orange Seamus, because that's the thing. So boomers here, like helping boomers. So I'm totally like defending you here. So yeah. But going on, like this is a really nice amount of work that Samus has put into this here, and like has done a good job with kind of getting the ideas together. And I think that's really cool. Like the he really crunches the numbers about the no ETH or ETH plus RPL validators that people might set up, and I think that's going to be one of those really cool innovations that is going to like tweak how the protocol works. Because as we get more people with ETH only coming online, then those who stake with RPL are going to get really cool rewards. And if we get too many people with RPL, then their rewards are going to get diluted, and they'll be like, why do I need RPL? I'll just go to ETH. And they'll move back and forth potentially from those two groups. And I think
Yeah.
we'll find a really nice balance where, the majority of RPL, I think, will be staked going forward. And we're going to see those really cool like fluctuations happening where I'm hoping, right, that a whole bunch of whales come online who have ETH only validators, because they're going to be paying me. And I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I'm really happy to take your money. And there's a whole lot of people in our situation, who have RPL as well. And we're going to be getting really nice outsized ETH and RPL rewards, because they won't be getting any RPL rewards either. So we'll be getting those. We'll be getting super boosted ETH rewards. It's going to be really nice. Like there's some really cool ideas like in the system. And one of the things that, we have to remember is like, Rocket Pool has stagnated. Like I know that might be hard for people to admit, right? But the fact of the matter is that we've been at like this 560,000 ETH level. We've been at that node operator ETH of about like a quarter of a million, like 250,000 or so for quite a while now. Like we've stagnated. We're not bringing on new node operator ETH, and that's these ideas are going to supercharge that. And I'm really hoping that this is the path to get us to 22%, which is where we've said we'll self limit. But we've been stuck at like that 2.5 to 3% range for a year, and as much as we had these high aspirations, that high expectations as well, that Atlas was going to help us get like higher than this and move up. Sadly, it hasn't materialized, and we need to do or die. And I think this is a really great thing that the community is doing. And it's really great that like I said, the sentiment has been really low, but we've got a bunch of people like from outside the Rocket Pool community who are just like, guys, what are you talking about? Like Rocket Pool's doing some really cool things here. And Anthony Sassano, like leading the banner for that was really,
Yep.
really wonderful to see. Like I have so much respect for Anthony, and like he's
Yeah.
just like he's just such a great like Ethereum aligned person. And he sees that Rocket Pool has so much value, right? And like it's going through all of these things. So for him to like point that out was really, really great to see.
Yeah. We'll talk
You know,
about Anthony in a moment here with regard to Starknet. But I think right now there's three markets. Rocket Pool is only open to one of those three. If you've got ETH and you got RPL, come here. Oh, the door is
mhm.
open. But if you got only ETH, the door is closed. If you only got RPL, the door is closed. What these proposals I think are going to do is open all three doors. So
Yeah,
if you just got RPL, you want to earn some yield on it, you can put it in. If you want to, you know what, I don't want to own any, I love ETH. That's all I want. It's the super token. I don't want to touch anything else. We got that for you too. And hey, if you want to do both and perhaps really boost your ETH yields by staking your RPL with your node, we got that. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited. I think these new tokenomics are coming are going to be fantastic.
Hmm. And we also got like steps towards that with node set as well. So they'll be taking steps
Yep,
towards that as well. So this is like there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming for Rocket Pool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jasper, just a dovetail um, on the commission cut. I think we should rename that. By the way, I don't like the idea of commission cut. First thing I think is, oh, the commission's 14%. So what is it going down to 10? I think maybe commission. I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
Rebalancing,
Yeah, commission.
tweaking.
Yeah, I
Something.
had one earlier this morning, and I totally forgot. It was a good one, but maybe we should rename that because I think that does confuse. I saw people in Discord. They're asking about commission cuts, and they're like, "Oh, wait, it's," but I don't. It's going to go down in my commission, and like, no, 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 no. So maybe we, for marketing purposes, we'll have to come up with something a little more understandable.
Yeah.
But Jasper says here he believes Rocket Pool version 3 V3 will have the greatest tokenomics of any protocol. Stake with RPL for 7.5. This is one of the proposals
Stick
here, right?
without. Yeah.
Stake. This could change, but stake with RPL for 7.5% commission, and the
No, without.
6.5% extra goes to nodes.
That's without RPL.
Pardon me. Yeah, that
Yeah.
didn't make sense. Stake without RPL gets 7.5%, and that 6.5 goes to nodes who stake RPL, and then only nodes like node set stake RPL, so the effects compound. If one half, so basically you could double your yield on your
Hmm.
ETH if you stake your RPL. Essentially,
Yeah.
So Jasper is out there leading the charge, spreading
Jasper,
the good
like
news.
honestly, like Jasper has been amazing
Yeah,
recently. Like on, like I love Jasper. Like he has another one of those people like who's carrying the Rocket Pool banner and flying that flag like amazingly well, like out there in the world. And I have so much love for him, even though like sometimes what he says like can be subject to scrutiny. Like here, people like not sure what the numbers are going to be and like how it's going to all play out. But Jasper's getting the ideas and like the seeds of ideas out there, and
pushing it.
people would need that exposure right over and over and over again to come across these ideas before they start like paying attention, because that's just how people's brains work. And the fact that he's out there like banging this drum and like flying that flag, like honestly he's just doing the Lord's work. Like he's doing really really great
Absolutely.
stuff. So
And
huge shout out to Jasper.
yeah, but
Yeah.
to your credit, Whack, back in late fall when Lido came out with their CSM proposal, you were banging the drum like, guys, we gotta get to the drawing board.
Hmm.
And here we are several months later, and like these proposals are just gonna, they're far superior to CSM. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, when you
So
package them together,
with
I think
with
we're going to be in a good spot.
with some of them, like when you look at it, like if you only have 4 ETH and you go to Lido, there's a chance that you'll still be better off, like even with some of these. Maybe even it might even be the case with 8 ETH. So if you take two LEB4s like Lidos, whatever the equivalent will be, because they'll have 4 ETH validators. If you even take two of them, it might be that that's more profitable. But as soon as you get to those, 1.5s being available to you with Rocket Pool, then the numbers just aren't even comparable anymore. And even then, like, if you tweak the numbers in certain ways, you can start being profitable from your very first validator with Rocket Pool
Mhm.
as well. But, the reality is that the majority of people who stake, won't be staking with only 4 ETH or only six
No,
ETH, because at that point, the profitability of staking is really like not there unless it's a passion
right,
project of sorts. Um,
sure,
the price of ETH will have to appreciate a lot for you to even cover your hardware costs and stuff like that. But for those
right,
people who've got like 32 ETH, 64 ETH, 100 ETH, and there's a whole lot of people like that in the Rocket Pool community already, those people are going to get some really nice juicy rewards like going
right.
forward. And we're going to attract a whole lot more of those people as well. Because if you're a solo staker right now, and if you've got like say 10 validators, you can still be a solo staker, move half of your solo stake to Rocket Pool. You would bring online like literally 20, 30 times more validators. Your rewards are going to be massively higher. You get the best of both worlds. You can still be a solo staker. You can be a Rocket Pool node operator. Everybody wins. It's going to be a really nice design. And I think that people are starting to like hear about it now. And we're going to keep it going.
Yep. The last thing on this, Samus says on this is a response again to the commission cut, where the extra yield you get isn't coming from a fixed commission cut from your own mini pool. It's coming from all the ETH only node operators giving a cut of their commission to one big pot which is then split up by RPL stakers. So just to kind of clarify that, that 6.5% in like Jasper's example of that commission of ETH is going into a giant pool. And if you're an RPL staker, with your node, you're going to be able to withdraw from that. That's going to come to you.
Yep.
The more ETH only pools we set up, the bigger that pool gets, the more profitable it is to be an RPL staker. So
yep.
it's I think that market dynamics where everything's going to balance it's going to be really elegant.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, last thing on this. Well, what's the implementation here of these four? And Samus says, I think we could implement section 2 and 3, which is the commission cut and the universal variable commission, before 1 and 4, which is the sublinear bonding and our ETH protection. And Samus says maybe push for number 2 and 3 in Saturn 1, and then 1 and 4 in Saturn 2. So just to give you a timeline, that's kind of perhaps we're going for this. Do you have any thoughts on the timeline for these four?
I think it's all really in flux. It depends on what the team can do and how it's all going to work out, because we still don't know when Saturn 1 will be. And there's this idea that it'll be 6 months after Houston, or give or take. And I think that might be right. But there's going to be a couple of things that already need to go into that update. Like, RPIP-30 finalized is going to go into that update. We're going to have other votes that already passed, like staking without adding more RPL. If you're below 10%, you just have to bring 10% of RPL instead of bringing it all above 10% before you can stake more ETH. So those are some of the things that have already passed in the PDAO, and now we need to get onto the actual protocol. So I'm not sure how it's all going to work out with those changes as well. So I can't really say right now what is going to go where. All I know basically is that the community is working on this. The community is working really hard on this. These are still open questions. Like, we still don't know what the tokenomics are going to look like. We're still not sure, what we're going to be voting on or what we're not going to be voting on. Like, will we be voting on a couple of different visions that people are going to come up with and like work together? Like, will we have competing ideas of what the protocol should look like? How is it going to go? Like, so there's too many unknowns right now to say what's going to happen and when. Just the general direction is incredibly positive. So that's why I'm kind of leaning on more instead of, trying to put things into slots when we don't know where the slots are.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, on to our next. This is a big one this week, Starknet. Okay, they've been hinting at a token for a couple years, I think, right?
2 years, yeah.
They announced, as if you haven't heard yet, they're finally releasing their token, and it's we're talking about Anthony Sassano being such a good steward for Ethereum, and he's been pounding the drum about solo stakers being able to be beneficiaries of airdrops, and typically they're not. The airdrop comes out usually given to those who were building on the protocol or they're using it, and Starknet, to their credit, allocated 22% of their tokens to validators, and of course, Rock.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Carry on, and then I'll correct something you just said. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I wrote in a little cast here that proportionally ETH stakers are getting more than 10 times the amount of Stark tokens than Starknet users. So there's, I think I wrote it down here. We got there's 22% of tokens are going to 19,000 different validators. And then 51% of tokens are going to over 500,000 users. If you figure that out, proportionally, it's about 10x more going to stakers, which is awesome. Now, there's been some little problem with the rollout with this, and it was particular with Rocket Pool. Where are we here? Back one. There he is. And so a lot of the list they were using, perhaps it was from rated.network, wasn't all inclusive and excluded a lot of operators. So to Jasper doing what he does, he connected the team with Starknet folks. They've been talking, and Langers here posted a Discord post that's talked about they're in contact with Starknet they're going to make sure that they get a list that is inclusive of everybody. So that'll be forthcoming. The token doesn't drop until February 20th, so they got some time to work this out. And you have any thoughts in general about Starknet? It's pretty effing awesome.
Yeah. So the first thing to realize is that that is not 22% of the tokens are not going to stakers. So um, it's 22% of 700 million. And that 700 million tokens is just 7% of the 10 billion tokens that they're going to be. So the airdrop actually, Starknet got a lot of criticism here because they're really like pushing this big number. Like, we're giving such amount to this many people and this such amount to this many people. And it sounds really good when you only look at the 700 million tokens that are being airdropped now. However, when you take a step back and look at this is only 7% of their total tokens, that's actually a really stingy airdrop. Like
Yeah,
the other protocols tend to give a lot more of a percentage of their total tokens than
sure.
7%. So a whole lot of money here is going to VCs. It's going to like the foundation, the Starknet development team, and like those kind of like shady-ish things. And it's quite funny because David Hoffman was talking in yesterday's episode, like a couple of months ago, about how like unaligned Starknet is with the Ethereum values, and they're kind of getting some pushback, and like it kind of became a meme and stuff. And the fact of the matter is, like they first of all, let me be clear, right? Like they don't have to airdrop to anyone if they don't want to, but like that's just
Yeah.
become the norm of crypto. So I'm not complaining. I'm technically eligible for airdrop, so thank you for giving me free money, but um when I get it, like if they fix this rocket pool issue, which I think they will. But what I'm trying to say is like that they they've done some things that are good, but there's also some things that still have question marks around it. And I think that
Yeah.
we shouldn't like let them give them a pass on that just because they did some things that are good. But hey, they're giving away free money, so that's what it is. And if you've got some money, congratulations. I think some people you're eligible up to 12 validators worth of rewards. So that's
Hmm.
1,800 Stark tokens per validator, up to 12 validators. People are thinking that it's going to launch at $2 a token. So the chance that people are getting nearly $50,000, like, which is really fucking awesome, right? So
Yeah, I know.
congrats, like you got 50K, like beautiful. And there are a few people like, quite frequent commenters in the community who are eligible for that sized airdrop. And some people have it on multiple nodes, so they might even have even more than that. But that's really nice. I'm not one of those people, sadly. But hey, whatever money they want to give me, I'll take it. Thank you very much. And I don't know how it's going to work out for Starknet in the long term, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of question marks. And the fact that they fumbled this airdrop, hopefully, it means that future airdrops that are coming will use better lists and like maybe
Right.
communicate with protocols where they're giving so much of their token away. They want to make sure they do things right because it kind of puts a little bit of a strain on the communities, both communities, right? Like a lot of people yesterday were asking questions like, where do I get my airdrop? What's happening with my airdrop? A few people were even fished because of it, which is really sad and
Right.
unfortunate. And the Starknet server itself, they were getting inundated with people saying, hey, I'm a Rocket Pool node operator. Where's my airdrop? Like, why did you send it to the mini pool? Am I still going to get it? And they got those questions over and over and over again. So much so that, people are just like, guys, just stop. We're working on it. Please just chill. Like,
Right.
we're going to
Right.
fix it. Like, just take a moment. But I guess with all of that kind of said, congrats on the free money. But let's see what comes next. And I think, there's kind of mutterings going on that we can expect a whole bunch more airdrops coming to stakers. And what's really great is like this rocket pool node operators have kind of been lumped in with solo stakers, and we're kind of like getting the same level of reward. So Jasper put out a tweet yesterday, which again, in Jasper's great flag bearing style is really cool. He's like, look, if you had 32 ETH and you were a solo staker, you get one airdrop. If you became a rocket pool node operator, you brought 16 plus 16 and then 3.2 ETH worth of RPL. So you had to bring 35 ETH basically, but then you got twice the airdrop. So that pretty much
Right.
covers the cost of most of that RPL, pretty much. Like, well, not most of it, but like a big chunk of that cost. And you've been getting all these extra rewards and stuff. So, the argument that Rocket Pool node operators can hopefully do pretty well with this in the coming months, I think that's really exciting because there's a whole bunch of services coming online like ZK Sync Era are going to have an airdrop. Tyco will have an airdrop. Scroll will have an airdrop. Eigenlayer is going to be a big one, and it seems like people who are kind of like in the know are saying that most of these services will be dropping to solo stakers, and with that, rocket pool node operators. So we're going to be getting some nice gifts coming our way, hopefully in the coming months, and that might make something that people will see and be like, "Hey, these guys are getting these really cool rewards. Maybe I should join them and make myself eligible for these rewards when they come up in the future as well."
Right. Yeah. When I said 20%, I was meaning 20% of
Of
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
700
yeah,
million.
yeah.
Of course, it's not, they've got almost all of the tokens still in their vault. They're not,
Hmm.
they're right. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was stingy. 7% is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
roll your eyes. But one thing to point out is that for stakers, they're rewarding those who had validators online before the merge.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you're more recent, you're going to miss out on this one.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, though, Whack, that going forward, Starknet has kind of set maybe a new trend where
Mhm.
stakers will be part of that allocation with other protocols that are going to airdrop. But perhaps future protocol airdrops are going to, maybe they'll include more folks who stake after the merge as well,
Mhm.
because those people feel left out. If you're the next guy, maybe you're ZK Sync, you're like, there's a lot of pushback. Those stakers who, hey, they set up a node on September 16th, 2022, one day after, and they've been staking for 18 months, and
Mhm.
maybe we should give them something too. So
Yeah.
if I had to bet $10, I'd say that, perhaps those more recent validators will be rewarded at some point too.
I think the cutoff will be withdrawals, because at that point, staking became a lot less. There were fewer unknowns about it. Like, first we didn't know whether there was even going to be a merge, right? Which is kind of this huge thing. So, like, those people, they're really bought into the Ethereum vision, right? Like, these were people who were the vanguard of staking, and
Yeah.
that Starknet are saying, yeah, you're going to be rewarded for that, because at that point we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if the merge was going to be successful or a failure. Like, you guys took a huge risk, so congrats on that. Here we're going to throw some tokens your way. Maybe going forwards, it might be that people will be like, yeah, you staked before withdrawals. Good job, great job. Like, here you go, you get some tokens. I think the one of the issues that you should keep in mind as well is that the number of validators who came online after the merge, and then again the number of validators who came online after withdrawals, like, was huge jumps. And as you get more and more validators coming online, it becomes really difficult to find out who's what kind of validator they are, and you're kind of opening yourself up for a lot of like blowback by community members saying, "Hey, I'm a solo staker and I wasn't on this list, blah blah blah." And you just need like a few hundred of those people, which is very easy to miss, right? When you've got 10,000 potentially like stake from home operators, it's very easy to miss those people, or 5,000, whatever it is. You're going to miss a few hundred, and then your Discord is or your Twitter is going to be swamped for days with those people saying, "Where's my token? Where's my token?" Right? So I think teams might take a bit more conservative stance, and as these lists
Mhm.
get better, then they might make it more open to people. So there's a lot of
Right.
unknowns about this, but it's something to just think about, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. On to our last thing. We're going to talk about the liftoff that Ken has put together, and it's just really professional. Um, you and I are going to be emceeing this.
Mhm.
You're we got we're going to be talking about smart nodes, Houston upgrades, mega pools, grants and bounties, um, the fun, thrills, and excitement monitoring MEV. Wow, that sounds like that sounds exciting. Rescue nodes, Rocket School, Veriferium. That's Romana's little project, if I'm saying that right. Understanding the IMC, introduction to Rocket Sweep, DVT integration, working in Web3 by Fornax, Rocket Pool's Endgame with Jasper, ecosystem integrations with Grant. Then we got Eigenlayer, who's going to make a presentation. Wanderer from NodeSet will talk about Constellation. And then, David from the team will have the closing. So a really robust agenda that is going to be coming as part of the ETH Denver little side conference that Ken's put together. So I'm excited about it. How about you?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like these, I'm really excited about it. Like Ken is doing such a great job organizing this whole event, and he is putting together really well. He has put together a really great 1.5, nearly 2 day conference, and I think like the Rocky Pool booth is gonna be like a ghost, whatever it is, like a graveyard, like with nobody there, because everybody's gonna be at this side event. And yeah, that's gonna be cool. But I think we're gonna have hundreds of people, a whole lot of people who are in the Rocky Pool community and staking already, like potentially dozens of those people, but also a much bigger contingent of people who are like Rocket Pool curious or staking curious, because there's some really cool talks there that like are just more than just Rocket Pool stuff, like that apply to other things as well. So I think it's going to be really great fun for rocket poolers, definitely, but also for other people who come along. And there's going to be good food and good coffee. And if nothing else, then your
And you'll be
$5
there
ticket.
signing autographs. You get your
Yeah, taking
fan
pictures,
club.
like sure, like two people who come along to do that, that's fine. But it'll be really great fun. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
a blast, and I'm really
So you got
excited
to
about
win
it.
this week.
Yeah, like I just think the green candles are the win that everybody was kind of waiting for, and sadly, like not with Rocket Pool, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, but like the crypto community as a whole, I think more and more people are starting to believe now that the bull market is real, and like we're gonna have a good 12 months ahead, or 18 months potentially, maybe 2 years, who knows. But the BTC ETFs are really, I think, have
Yeah,
surprised a lot of people with their inflows, and they like the gold is actually like experiencing outflows on the ETFs
I
now,
saw
and
that.
BTC getting inflows. So maybe it's a changing of the guard, like a shift in the psychology of the market, and to see crypto in a new way. And we've been here for multiple years already, and now it's kind of feels like a vindication of that. So that's definitely a win for me.
That is a great win. My win is the airdrop for the stakers. Though we're those, especially at Genesis. Like if you were there in December of was it December 21
21,
or
yeah.
2021?
No, 20, December 20.
Was it
Yeah,
December of 2020? Like
yeah,
this is brand new. The beacon chain hasn't launched, and you're throwing in 32 ETH. Man, risky. And
yeah.
then those who maybe came in after Genesis, you still got the merge, the biggest network upgrade in human history. All the risk that
Mhm.
that entailed, and you stuck through it. Then you had, of course, you put the money in, you couldn't take it out. There's no withdrawals. This is a
Mhm.
one-way street.
Yeah,
Holy cow, that is risky. So to see those people rewarded of this first big airdrop of 2024, that's a big win. And
yeah,
I want to thank, people like Anthony Sassano who are out there really advocating for this.
yeah.
I think hats off to him. But for everybody, I think it's great.
Wonderful. Yeah, everybody loves some free money.
Free money, 5 digits.
Mhm.
That'd be amazing. Anyways, thanks for listening and watching and being part of the Rocket Pool community. Wack and I really appreciate you tuning in. Make
Yeah,
sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you all next week.
and you'll see me later today. Well, yeah.
Yeah.